So the other night, I'm flipping through YouTube and I come across a video. It's a compilation of car commercials from the 1960s and the 1970s. So I click on it and I'm watching it. And I'm not really thinking anything of it, just mindlessly going through the commercials. And I mean, if anything, I'm just saying to myself how lucky I was to experience some of the Boomer Wonderland that was illustrated in these commercials. But then one of them stopped me in my tracks. One of them was like, hold it, wait a minute. This one commercial is significant, not because of what's actually in the commercial, but because of how it illustrates the drastic difference between, let's say, boomer age cars, automotive sensibilities, and what we've got today. So this commercial, it's for the 1970 Ford Maverick. And it's an introduction video. It's a brand new model. And well, before I show you the commercial, I have to give you this setup, why this commercial was significant at this period of time. So Ford, if you go back to the original Fords, you know, the Model Ts and all of that, 19-teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, and up into the 50s, Fords had a reputation as being simple, rugged, reliable, easy, and affordable to repair cars. This was in Ford's DNA. But then in the 1950s, middle 1950s, that corporate philosophy started to change. And Fords started to become a little more complicated and a little more involved than their General Motors and Chrysler counterparts. So you get to the late 1950s and Ford starts to throw some stuff out there that the general public, it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. Off the top of my head, okay, like for instance, the Teletouch transmission shifters that they put in the Edsel's, which was just a freaking disaster. It left more people stranded, led to more of those cars being scrapped prematurely than probably anything else. It was a disaster. You have little annoying things, annoying to the typical mechanic, the average mechanic. Like for instance, the sequential taillights. When stuff would go wrong with those things, it was, you know, pull your hair out. Now to be fair, during this period of time, the 50s and the 60s, Ford's base models, you know, like the Falcons and the 6-cylinder Mustangs, that sort of car, were still brutally simple. Very easy to work with. They were happy cars, very happy cars. But when you get to the mid-size and larger, and especially the prestige and the luxury cars, yeah, Ford kind of like ran off the rails as far as introducing technology, kind of like for technology's sake. So, because of that, mechanics started to look at Fords as being a little more troublesome, a little more difficult, a little more complicated to work on than their General Motors or Chrysler counterparts. If you walked into if you needed a dealer part, let's say you needed it from Chrysler or GM, you go into the parts department and it would crack open, you know, a binder and find your part. If you went to the Ford dealer, they had a whole rack of books behind them. You know, it's like, okay, what date was it built? It was typical Ford stuff. So you're getting a general idea. Mechanics started to view Fords as being difficult to work with. Now, when a consumer is interested in buying a car, who do they go to for a valued opinion? Then as now, they go to the mechanic and they say, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? So back in those days, when a consumer would go to their mechanic and say, hey, what kind of car should I buy? What do you think of Fords? They're gonna be like, yeah, you know, I got a problem here. You know, that water pump on this town car is just out of control, right? So mechanics would steer customers towards the simpler General Motors or Chrysler products. So now this is where this commercial comes in. This is for the 1970 Maverick. The commercial was released sometime like 1969 as an introduction to the Maverick. So now, knowing what led up to this, watch this commercial.
Just to prove that the 1970 Maverick is really the simple machine, we asked 5 stewardesses to put it back together again. Well, the girls proved it. Maverick, the simple machine. And get this, with everything else going up in price, Maverick is still just $19.95.
Okay, so Ford had to go out of their way, made a specific statement that this car is so simple, so basic, that a bunch of stewardesses can put it together in a parking lot. This was the message they were trying to get across. Ford valued that message, even if the engineers didn't, even if the engineers were still like, come on, we can stick more wires and cram this thing in that much tighter. Oh, you don't need to reach those spark plugs. Even though Ford engineers had different ideas, Ford management was like, yes, we need to get the message of simplicity and reliability to the consumer, especially with this car that at the time cost $1,900, which in today's money would be $17,000, like $18,000, or thereabouts. Well, you can't touch a Ford for even twice that today, but that's besides the point. They were reaching out to the general public to convey the message that our cars are simple. All right, now contrast that with today. Contrast that with the whole right to repair movement. The things that we know about how automotive technology has completely jumped the shark. But let's talk about the corporate attitude here and what they're telling the consumer. Last year, Jim Farley of Ford, maybe it was earlier this year, I don't, it's not important. He was on one of these shows and he was talking about how the technician shortage, how they've got 6,000 empty bays, and because of that, it's taking longer to repair their cars. Never mind the fact that they can't get techs to work on these cars because they've become so overcomplicated, so difficult to work with, so troublesome, and the diagnostic time is off the chart, and all of the massive recalls that pick the pocket of the techs working on these cars. Nobody wants that job anymore. So they've got 6,000 empty bays. That's not even the problem. The problem was when he was interviewed about right to repair. And he said this.
I think Ford's position is very reasonable. We're really a big advocate for the ability to repair a vehicle, but it has to be done at a reasonable cost. But
you don't want people repairing their own vehicles.
No, that's fine. Not for warranty work, though. These are very complicated cars, and we don't think that's safe for many of the repairs on our vehicles. Someone at home like myself could never do it. I mean, I have no problem working on a 73 Bronco. To work on a brand new Bronco, I need all sorts of specialty tools. That's something that we would put people's lives at risk.
So for context here, he starts off talking about warranty work. And yes, I agree, warranty work should be done at the dealer. It's kind of like why you have warranties to begin with. But then when he says afterwards that, yeah, I would have no problem working on a 73 Bronco at home, but I couldn't work on a new Bronco at home because it needs all kinds of special equipment, all kinds of special tools. If you get it wrong, it'll kill somebody. Oh, what kind of contrast is that? A bunch of happy, wholesome stewardesses screwing together a Maverick in a parking lot. Yay, we can all do this. To, oh no, this is forbidden tech. You'll die if you touch it. What kind of contrast is that? It shows you the world that we're in today. It shows you the difference in attitude between us older car guys who grew up in that Boomer Wonderland versus what you guys are dealing with today. So why is it, Jim? Why is that? I know you can't get techs to fix the cars that you can't produce properly to begin with, but why have things gotten so difficult? Why have things become so complicated? Why can't the average person just work on their car at home? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because, Jim, you're part of a cabal of criminal scumbags that have conspired to take the right of, or the ability for the average person to maintain their car. You've sucked them into a loop where they have to keep coming back to you over and over and over again and getting deeper and deeper in debt. You've created a situation where people who are having a hard time keeping food on the table have to make a choice between paying the mortgage or paying the rent and putting a taillight in their F-150. This is your doing. Yeah, you know what? I could go on and on and on. I'm not going to go on and on. I'm just going to leave it at that. I just want to leave that contrast with you guys. Look at how Ford, I mean, I'm only singling out Ford because this is just, you know, it's all of them. It's not just Ford. But I'm using the Ford as an example because this is what the commercial illustrated, and this is what Farley said himself recently. So just, this is why us old guys see things the way we do. You know, I understand that. Every time we do a video like this, there's always in the comments, younger guys in the comments, I go, they're just scared of technology. They're scared of computers. No, it didn't have to be like this. You could have had all of this technology. You could have had all of these computers, but the cars could have been assembled in such a way that they would be easy to service, diagnose, and make those repairs. So, no, this is all done deliberately. This is all done deliberately. And eventually, in the very not too distant future, this is going to lead to a transportation crisis that is just unimaginable. It's coming. Be ready for it. Take me back to the 60s. I'll see you tomorrow.